Glad to see you joining me back on a second video under So Worth It Sewing Machine tutorials. This is part 2 for the EuroProX. We are going to thread this machine, and it is very simple to thread. I still have to assemble some parts, but there is a guide here, and you just take the thread and put it on the threads, the spool pins. Doesn't matter if it's this way or this way, just put it on. And then we're going to put through the guide here. This is going to come through a second guide, down and up and around. So this one is not like the typical on the right side first. This one's on the left side first. Comes to the front. We'll just shift the camera. There's a second guide, which is here. I'll check and see if this is bent, because I think it may look like it is. If not, we'll leave it as it is. And then there's one last guide, which is right here. And then with the needle, there is a needle pin holder, or, yeah. Now the needle is broken on this one, so we do have to replace it. I use my universal needle package. And this has where the flat part, I'll see if I can come in closer to show you what I'm talking about. Where the needle goes up, put that down to show you, right inside here. That's as high as the, see if I can point it out exactly. I need a poker. This part, there's a pin right here. That's the pin where the needle goes as high as up. And because this is where it's curved on this side, it's flat on the back. That tells you where to put the flat part of the needle. Okay, see where it's showing flat? That's the direction of where to put the needle in. And then this one threads front to back. Once it's as high as it needs to be, just twist that until it locks in place, not too tight. Sometimes there's a screw, excuse me, there's a slit here where you can use a screwdriver to tighten it. Just enough. And then you, like I said, needle front to back. Okay. Oh, that did get tucked underneath, and that's what you want to be careful of. Winding the bobbin on this machine is very similar to the other ones that I've done and shown you. There is just in the instructions, it shows you how to hook the thread through the guide and around. So I'll show you up close what that looks like. This is the guide that it goes through. And this one wants you to thread it around and thread it back through again. And that looks like it's keeping it in the right position. I like to use an empty bobbin, and I like to put it through these holes. Always make sure that your winder has these pins on it. As you can see, this is what's going to hold the bobbin on place from not moving. What's nice about this particular machine is that there's nothing on the side that you have to turn or push in and or out, because once you slide this over, what that'll do is it'll stop this side of the machine from moving. So now we can just wind the thread on the bottom. I like to hold the top thread. And then I like to pull it up a little bit so that it catches it. And now I can cut this loose, and I'm able to wind my thread without any problems. Once I'm done, I push it over and it releases whatever the hold is on this side. Okay, taking that off, taking the thread off. Oops. I like to inspect the bobbin case, and this is very clean, and very pleased because this is a newer machine. I will have to check the instructions on this one if it goes counterclockwise, but for now we'll do it counterclockwise. So if it's wrong, sorry. Once I slide it through this spot right here, let it lock in, and I'll pull this. And I like the tension on this now. And then we're going to make sure my needle is up. I'm going to hold this lever so the bobbin doesn't come out. I like to keep my thread to the left, and then I pop it in, and sometimes you want to hear it click, okay? Because it was sitting a little bit more on this side, but we wanted to sit it in between where you're seeing it here, okay? Just going to rethread my machine super fast. Oh, that's not good. Once you get the hang of threading machines, you can go pretty quick. So now that that's down, I'll leave this open, and then I'll cause the thread to turn down and come back up. I'll pull my thread to the top. I'll move the thread to the back. Close that. And now my machine is threaded. This is the storage compartment. You just slide it and lock it back in. Most sewing machines will come with manuals. These stitches here are buttonholes. So if you're doing a sweater, a shirt, pants, this is where you want to put buttons. You want to be able to start at the top first. Then you're going to come down on one side, fasten the end, and then come back up, and then you want to fasten just 1 or 2 stitches. This is more for a pair of jersey, bathing suit, something that requires a very tight stitch, not recommended for leather. This is a standard stitch, which is for anything, quilting, clothes. The number 3, again, is almost like a base stitch. So if you have to do a gathering stitch, or if you have to kind of take a piece of fabric and you have to blend it on a curve. I don't have a curved piece here to show you. But if it's on an edging and you have to kind of blend it and just kind of baste it a little bit, because you want to kind of turn the edge underneath, you can just pull the thread, and what it'll do is when you stitch it on the wrong side, if you stitch it, if you stitch it on the edge here, let me just do it. If you stitch it on here and turn it over to get it to pull in, to gather smoothly, then you can use number 3. Tighter stitches zigzag, again, for undergarments, bathing suits, and as you go a little bit wider. I would use a number 6 if I don't have a serger machine and I had to finish my edges and I didn't want to leave them like this. I would do a zigzag stitch. If I'm doing like a postcard or something that doesn't require very fine stitch, I would use that. This again looks like it's a bathing suit stitch, a jersey stitch. This one's good for hemming like it's almost like curtains if you want to finish the edges, almost like a serger as well. Again, that's like a fancy stitch. This is for elastics, or if you're doing mocking and you have to put elastics across the seam on several spots, and then it kind of pulls it in for you. That's what this stitch does, and it helps with zigzag. This is like a hem stitch. If you're doing dress pants and you wanted to kind of finish the edge very cleanly, but you don't want it to show on the other side, what it'll do is it'll pick up the threads or the pieces of the fabric on this side while stitching the edge. That one does require you to kind of sew almost like this, where it's a straight stitch on this side, and then the fabric will pick it up as it's catching between here, here, and here. So when you turn it over, you'll see a tiny little fabric picking up. Other than that, it's like a very standard basic machine. This setting over here, it is depending on the width of the thread, but we're not going to change anything because I like the way that this looks. I'm very pleased. So very, very pleased. But you might change this if it's like a thicker thread or a finer thread, which there isn't really a finer thread. Maybe a silk thread or acrylic thread or a flossing thread. There's a variety of different threads, but mainly I would change it if it's a thicker thread. But glad you can get an idea of what these basic stitches are. So appreciate your patience. Thanks again for a quick, simple tutorial on how this machine sews and how to thread the machine and how to wind the bobbin. What I really like again about this machine is that once this moves it over, it stops this part of the machine, so you don't have to do anything here. Very easy, like I said, but it's a little tricky because it goes the other side from winds down, comes up over into the right hand side, where sometimes it goes the other way. But very basic machine, like I said, with simple stitches. So hope that you got the information that you needed from this particular tutorial. Again, Sew Worth It sewing machine is something I enjoy. And if I make a mistake, please send me a comment. I will look into it. I may correct myself and apologize. I'm not perfect, but the point is I want to share something that other people can use and benefit from. So again, don't forget to subscribe and like. I'm going to keep doing videos on sewing machine, as many as I can. And I'm really happy to see how well this one turned out. So glad you got to get some information, and have an awesome day. Bye.